Welcome back to Get With The Programming. I'm Chase Ingram.
I'm Captain America.
And along with me is Bill Grundler. Wolverine. And no, Bill is not frozen right now, but he may be intermittently throughout the podcast.
I think I found out what the deal was. I think I found out what it was.
Deal?
So when I was on the show, the Week in Review with Spin and Sevon, he was saying that on that platform that Sevon uses, there's like an enhance. It enhances your thing, and if you click that, it does something to your computer where it like lags it or slows it down or something. So that's why my audio would be great,
right?
But I would have no.
So you tried to enhance yourself.
I didn't try. It just auto did it.
Bill, I
don't need to enhance this, bro.
As your hetero friend, I will say you need no enhancements. You are a very handsome gentleman. I feel like there's a young lady in the comment section that may agree with me. You need no enhancements, sir.
I hope that she thinks I'm okay.
Allegra, another day of Bill not being frozen. Yes. Welcome to the show. Happy Thursday. 2 for 2. That's right, Allegra. 2 for 2 for Bill's camera. At least on our podcast. I think you're just subtly just trying to sabotage the Savon podcast.
Maybe there's a little bit of that. I'm keeping us at the top. Got to keep us on top here.
That's so great. Welcome, everybody. Happy Thursday. We are going to talk team programming from Wodapalooza. We talked individuals yesterday. Dylan Malitsky, who programmed that and did the qualifiers and runs the show there at Wodapalooza, was kind enough to hop on with us for what? It was an hour and 40 minutes.
Yeah. That was good. That was a good talk.
We could have done it in an hour.
Dude, that was a really good talk.
That was a great talk. And honestly, it really opened up for me is that we can talk analyzing all day, right? We've been doing it for collectively with CrossFit and gym ownership for over 35 combined years.
Yeah.
40. Pushing 40. But what I really like there is that we still got to bring our opinions and critiques of what the programming was directly to the person who had his hand in the programming and his hand in the decisions that went on when it started to rain, the backup plans and all that other thing. And what I really liked about that is like, we had a great conversation about it, even if it wasn't, quote, all positive and feet washing when it came to Wodapalooza and Dylan. And he was very receptive to that and very open about it, which I really respected him a lot for coming on.
Oh man, 100%. Like I think, there are a lot of times when we are critical of different events for the program that they do, whether it's the qualifiers or the actual competition itself, and the criticalness of our opinions on that is not because it's trying to say, F you to your competition. But I mean, we have been around a long time. We've been a part of a lot of these competitions for a long time. And all we want, like we get excited when we see great programming and all these really cool examples of things. Or, it's hard to see when you have events back to back to back. And I'm not talking competitions. I'm talking individual events on those competitions where it's so close to being so fucking amazing. Yeah. It's like one little tweak. It's like it went from it could have been unbelievable to And it's hard to see that. So we're very emphatic about that because we really can appreciate the artistry that's happening. So we have done that a handful of times with Dylan and with the TYR Wodpalooza, the Wodapalooza in the past. And I appreciate from him that he knows that we're not coming at him. He knows how important that whole competition is to us. I mean, it's all of our buddies, all of our friends. We get together, we get to have that. So it's important for us to be a spectacular thing. And I like the fact that he was able to come on yesterday. And again, when we say what are the whys, we're forced to speculate a lot of times.
Yeah.
As it is. So it was great that he was able to come out because those are the things that a programmer, you can write it all down on paper, but when it hits the road, what then happens? And it was really cool to hear the things that he liked, hear the things that they had to switch, hear the things that it was like, well, we had no other option. I didn't want it to go this way, but we had to do it this way. And so we tried, and I think it's great for everyone to hear that. And I mean, he did great. I think it was a great conversation yesterday. It was fun to have him on too.
It was, and he's not with us today for the team programming. And
so we're really gonna hack on him now.
We're really just gonna shit all over him for the next hour. But I think I don't know if he said this while we're on or while we're off, but I think he said he's aware that this wasn't his favorite.
Yeah, I know. He said, "Don't hack on the two bad guys,"
because I have a soft spot in my heart for team programming, along with just a maniacal passion for team programming. And we say that a lot on the show, but it's a challenge. Team programming is really hard to do. It's exceptionally hard to get right in terms of finding an appropriate test of fitness, strategy, and entertainment for the viewer. Because when you're in it as an athlete, like, you're not thinking about what this looks like on TV. You don't care.
Yeah.
Right. And a lot of times you can create great team workouts that challenge teamwork and fitness and strategy. And it just is a yawn fest on a broadcast.
Right.
That doesn't mean it's a bad team test. Not necessarily. But you say this a lot when we look at workouts versus events, right? These are events. It's a competition. It's for points. It's for glory. Right?
Yeah.
This is the sports side. Is that you can see a great training workout that might not turn itself into a great competition event.
Right.
And I see a lot of that really manifest itself in team programming.
Oh, totally.
It's great because they're just doing a bunch of synchro work over and over and over. I was like, yes, that's a great team training day to practice synchro work. We need to watch 150 burpees over the worm for 25 minutes.
Right.
And so there comes to that. And when we go through some of this critique and education when it comes to the team programming, those are the things we're going to highlight for those specific reasons. Because I can tell you right now, if I said on an individual side, do 100 Turkish get-ups with a 53 and 35 pound kettlebell, that is a hell of a training day, even if it's not for time, just for quality.
Right.
There's no place for that in a competition setting.
Yeah.
So there is a big, big difference when it comes to those two things.
Do you think that for team programming specifically, do you think that once Dave brought the worm in back at the game, what was that, 2013, 2012? Mm-hmm. The wood, that ugly thing that just shredded everybody's ears. The original one, yeah.
One is 13.
Do you think that was almost a negative for team competition? Because I feel like now that is the default movement. Like, you can't do team competition without having the worm, because the only way we can test teams is we have to have the worm. Like, do you think that it's gone overboard that direction, and that we've lost a little creativity because we just go to the worm? Because what are you going to do? Clean and jerk with the worm, thrusters with the worm, burpees over the worm. Like, what else? You know what I mean? Do you see how, like, we see it all the time? And it was brought in as these are what we did at my team, so it was a fun thing to throw in. Mm-hmm. And then that never left. I don't know how you would test all the other times, but it would be an interesting thing to think about.
I wouldn't say it's one of those things where it was a great implement, not the wood one. The wood one was like medieval torture.
When he unveiled that to everyone, everyone's faces were like, "You got to be fucking kidding me right now."
Well, I think it was everyone's like, "Ooh, I get it. I like it." And then right when they picked it up and it fell for the first time, everyone was like, "Oh shit.
I mean, look
this
at the edges
is now
on
the
that.
scariest thing I have ever had on my shoulders or in my hands."
Totally.
Because the first time the second person in line fell in a team of 6, in that 300-pound wood roped collection of death and destruction fell on the other 4. Like, that was the wake-up call. Unfortunately, it's now a sandbag, and now it's only 4, and even at Wodapalooza, it's only 3. But I would say it's a fantastic implement to test teams as a unit and gets overused excessively now as future competition. So I don't blame the implement as being a problem. I blame the obsession with it since then. So it's not channeled correctly.
Right. And so that goes right back to what we were talking about, how team programming is so much more difficult than individual programming. Because of the way that you can't just put cool workouts together. You can't just put cool things together. Like, oh, let's try this cool movement. That you have to integrate it with all of the people, and you're always trying to put that together. So it takes such a keen eye in someone that is so into. I'm sorry, man. Like, team programming needs to have an expert team programmer, not just a. Well, yeah, we did all the cool stuff for the individual. Fine, I'll just put some team stuff together too.
Well, like old school regionals used to just be team versions of the individual program.
Right.
It's like, oh, we're doing Amanda 975. Fuck it, make it a relay.
And team done. Team programming done.
I think, what was it? It was 2011 regionals when Amanda was. It was the individual events. Amanda was a part of that. The hundreds workout was a part of that.
Right.
Your first time deadlift box jump event was a part of that. And the deadlift box jump event where team was just 2 pairs, and they just one went and then the other went. And it was their collective time. And then the Amanda was one went in the other event. The other 4 did instead of 100 of pull-ups, kettlebell swings, double unders, and overhead squats, they just did 250 collectively.
That's all.
Right. Which I like that format, the bulk work of just divide and conquer.
In the formula. Yeah, totally. It's in the formula.
However, it was just like, cool, just do what they're doing, but more.
Right. It was the afterthought. That's why it's so hard. It's so hard.
It is hard. And so when we're critiquing, I think some people think it's being critical. When we're critiquing and giving constructive feedback, right, we're not just saying, like, that sucked, do better. Like, that was not ideal. Here's how you do better. Here's a way to do better. Here's just an example of better.
It's running it through
these days.
You run it through like a second set of eyes that's not connected. And that's, we joke all the time. It's like, they're fixed it. But it's like sometimes we do that with an entire competition. A couple tweaks here and there where it would go from to fuck yeah, that was nails. That would be awesome. That would, because we're on the broadcast side too, so we see a great programming event. We understand what the stimulus is going to be, and we know that it'll look cool. So all we did was help them a little bit. It's like you almost kind of get some of the programmers that their head gets so buried into what they're trying to do that they get lost in that, and they can only see that. So again, we're not just slamming you guys to slam you.
Yeah.
It's just, we're armchair quarterbacking. It is.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was about to say, is like, our job of looking at what you did and correcting it with no timetable stress or whatever time to think about it is so wildly unfair to the programmer. However, it's still our job and duty to make sure people are educated, including the programmers, of what they could have done better and to maybe use in the future. So that's what we're going to talk about today, but just get a little baseline of how we're going to look at what we're going to do with it and how we can be constructive going forward. But before we get there, Bill, it's finally happened. Element 26 not only has unveiled their brand new grips that have just come out, they are now on Amazon. So before, where it was like, hey, this discount code really just works for US shipping only, they are now on Amazon. And they can go everywhere.
Boom.
Everywhere. So if you guys go to Amazon right now, Element 26 has a shop. Here are the brand new grips that they just came out with. They're a non-abrasive grip, which means You ever hang on a pull-up bar with grips all day and then it starts to rip your hands anyways because now it's the grip that's ripping your hand instead of the pull-up bar? These are designed on the backside in mind to keep those hands abrasive free so you can do more pull-ups and still not get the rips because the grips are soft on the back end. They actually work with Scott Panchek about doing this. So they're on Amazon right now. They're called the Vice grips. You can use them with the finger holes or not. I'll drop the link in the chat if you guys are watching with us on YouTube at the moment. And on top of that, only through February, right? The Open is fast approaching, but they have a 15% off code on Amazon right now. It's called GWTP15E26. All caps, GWTP15E26, element 26, obviously at the end. It's the code for the Amazon shop only. So if you guys want a new pair of grips to get ready for the Open, this sale is only going on through February. And here's a couple things that they're thinking about. No more blisters and rips from the backside of the grip on the hand because now you're doing 10 to 15% more pull-ups because of the grips. But they actually, I don't know if you get this too. I would get this a lot where my wrists are getting destroyed by the grip straps.
Because I hang from my grips. Yeah, dude.
Yeah. And so, like, all right, I got to put on the fantastic Element 26 sweat bands, pull them up, and then put the strap around so I don't dislocate or hurt the wrist. These grips are now designed for that type of wrist support. They're good for your hands, and there's no break-in required. A lot of times you got to work your grips in almost like an old school baseball mitt. So again, go to Amazon, go check out the Element 26 store on Amazon, and use that code GWTP15E26. It almost sounds like the
peptides, dude. That's peptides or something, right?
A peptide code that we don't use or we endorse. That is a different show.
Right.
But that's available on Amazon. So if you guys are looking for new gear for the Open, it's not just grips, it's thumb tape, it's wristbands, it's sweatbands, it's their new lifting belt, which is a hybrid leather and Velcro, which is fantastic. It's the best of both worlds combined into one. So go to that. If you guys go to their shop normally, element26.co, that's .co.com, and use our regular code GWTP15 for 15% off, as we say, your next PR. Billy, let's talk team programming from Wodapalooza. Now, I heard the joke the other day, calling it Wodapalooza. Fair?
Wasn't that the 2016 one? And this one tried to heavily copy with all the rain.
Yeah, it was it was rough. It was a rough go for them. The teams, individuals, all those things had to change as the rain came in. I think fortunately for them. Well, unfortunately, I feel like the team ones, there was one, I think, that changed the final changed dramatically, unfortunately, due to the rain, which is a bummer because I thought that was the best event they had programmed. Which also,
always how that works.
On the individual side, I felt like the best event that they had programmed also had to change entirely, which was Cortadito.
Yeah.
The 21:15.9 parallel bar traverses and dips that we found out that unfortunately got taken out with hang power cleans and 15:12.9 of shouldered overhead and bar muscle ups. That was a fantastic program event. Unfortunately, they didn't get to see. I will say in the comments, someone did say, "Is like, will you bring that back for SoCal since you didn't get to?"
That would be so like that event. That's kind of like how Alpaca got messed up at the games, and everyone like saw it the whole time and chomping at the bit. So I like that they brought it back again. That's one that should be brought back. That's one that needs to be out there and done.
Yeah,
that would be so fun to watch.
I agree. I hope they do because what a cool little callback.
Yeah,
for that,
and a connection to that too. I mean, it's he kept talking about the difference that it's going to be the SoCal versus the Miami and how it's the same but different. So that would be a nice little connection. Yeah, I can't wait to hear what that means.
All right, first team workout of the weekend for TYR Wodpalooza was called Bike Race, in which no bikes were seen for the team competition. It was just a 5K trail run with the total combined time for each athlete. Positive side, this is how you score an endurance test of a 5K. You don't give them a rope and just handcuff everybody together by your slowest single person. That's what the worm is for. You already do that. You say, hey, when we program lifting events, we don't take the lowest weight lifted of your 4 team members and give that as your team score. No, we don't do that. What do? We add all the weights together and we see how strong your collective group of athletes are. That's how you should do an endurance test.
Yes.
We're going to do a 5K run, and we're going to add up all of your times together for your team total time. Why is that such a good thing, Chase? Well, I'm glad you asked, nobody. Is because in the event, on a strength test, you've got a monster, and they can just add 100+ pounds to your team score that nobody else can do in the other groups. That means the other 3 have to collectively do better to match your monster. The same thing should happen on a monostructural test, like a 5K or a 400-meter swim relay or whatever, is that maybe you just got a burner out there and just let them do work for your team, because it's a team event. It should be a collective score. So Wodapalooza, Dylan, fantastic job on how you scored this event.
Totally. The fact that, you know, the comment with teams is it all comes down to your weakest link. True on a lot of events, and that will always be a hindrance at some point, but you should also matter on your strongest link at the same time. And so what this does is it allows everyone to give and put into whatever they have. So if you're the slowest person that's running, okay, man, give me what you got, because we have our little antelope over here that's going to go ahead and burn doors down, and they're going to make up the difference for you.
Yeah.
And then our middle people will kind of average it out. So I like the fact that they do that together too. I mean, shit, man. Have we ever seen it that way on any distance?
The games have done that before. They have added.
They have all the times.
Yeah, they've done that in the past, but they've also not done that in the past.
Yeah, I just think the classic, you know, running with a rope thing. God, that was one. It was ridiculous to look at. So you talk about you know, what broadcast, what it is, and all it is someone being dragged.
Yeah,
you know.
I get if you want to throw that in every once in a while. It's like, hey, new wrinkle, right? But as a one-off, like say like it's within the workout. So for example, in fact, they didn't even do this. The sled pull, farmer carry, log traverse team event they had last year, which is like one of my favorite team events they've ever programmed.
Yeah.
But they all had a 400 meter. They weren't tethered on that 400 meter. Maybe you do tether them for that part, right? But
yeah, because it's not that main piece.
5K.
Right. Yeah.
And to not do that. And well, here's the thing. You just want to see consistency, right? Okay, we're going to tether them for the 5K, and then we're going to only take the lowest lift of your team. Like those are exactly the same things.
Totally.
Exactly the same things.
And let me ask you this. Do you think, okay, so they made a big point of they were going to let teams go like every 30 seconds or something like that, because the trail was relatively narrow as they're running through there. Do you think that the initial plan was, hey, we want to score everyone's score together, or did it just happen to go that way because it's like, well, it's too narrow, we can't have everyone holding onto a rope where everyone's going at the same time anyway because it's too narrow?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know.
I mean, I wasn't there. I didn't get to see what the trail looked like, but they kept
talking about
how narrow it was.
Yeah. So the reason we call it bike race is because this was a mountain bike trail, not a running trail.
I was just curious. I mean, however it turns out,
yeah,
great way to put this together. It would have been fun to see some of the people running. It would have been impossible to call it because you have people all over the place.
No.
So it would be impossible, but it would still be fun to have cameras and just be able to kind of see them run, to see what people are doing.
Maybe like what Rogue did 2 years ago on the ranch, where they did a post-produced thing for them.
Right.
But in light of that, so I said the positive. The negative is it has nothing to do with like sprained ankles. Like people need to get off that. Like, welcome to sports. You know, like it was very few people for the thousands. Like if 2,000, I heard like 2,000 people did this. Like everybody did the 5K in a sense, I think, except for the elite individuals. Like, who cares?
Yeah.
Like, welcome to the outside world. I don't know what to tell you. What I didn't like is that it was a 5K and we just did a 5K at the CrossFit Games. All of these people in the elite division already did this year. Well, technically they did a 4.3K, but you get what I'm saying. But I think here was like a 4.6, 4.7, or 5.7, so maybe it evened out.
Trail run rather than a street run.
Right.
I
Like,
mean,
this
okay,
was
I
like
get it, but
5.4, and I'm not giving him shit for it being longer. It's the fact is like, dude, we just did this.
well, I know, but dude, how many times do we do that with lifting? The one rep,
But
and
I'm equally as critical of seeing a 100
100%.
snatch, an Olympic total. Like, it's the same thing as like,
right. And I think that, you know, it's easy to default into some of these simple check marks events. Oh, we need a lifting event. All right, put in a clean and jerk or put in a 1 rep max snatch, whatever. Oh, okay. Oh, they did the run. That was kind of cool. Let's just put the run. And again, I'm not thinking that they tried to copy, but as a programmer, I would be looking at that. I don't want it to look like I'm just doing a rehash of what we just did. I don't like that. So I agree. I mean, it's especially for the elite athletes. Whatever. I get it. It's just not exciting.
Yeah.
But at least this guy scored it right. Great job.
Yeah. So positive.
There you go.
Constructive of like, don't program something within 6 months of what the CrossFit Games did. Sorry. Yeah. All right. Event number 2, we go to the barge. Was this on? Yeah, this was on this day, right?
Yeah.
We go to the barge. We talked to Dylan yesterday about the barge at Bayside, and the event is called Worms Can't Swim. 30 worm clean and jerks, and then one athlete will go for a swim. It was about 200 meters, while the other 2 athletes do 50 synchros over the worm. Then they'll do 20 clean and jerks once they finish the burpees in the swim as a team. The next athlete will go out for the swim, and the other 2 athletes will do 50 synchro burpees over the worm. 10 worm clean and jerks. The last athlete will go for a swim. The other 2 will do 50 synchro burpees over the worm and then finish with 5 clean and jerks. This is the example I'll throw out, is that this is a wonderful training day for your team to get swimming, to get a lot of worm practice in, and synchro burpees. Like, this is a wonderful training day. Hey, we're just going to slog together for about 25 minutes. I think the cap was 24. 24 minutes together. We're going to do a shitload of clean and jerks while we're tired. We're going to get wet. We're going to do synchro burpees. It's 100 per athlete when you put it all together. 65 worm clean and jerks, which is just insane. As far as translating from a team competition to the people in the stands or on TV, like, I couldn't have been more bored watching this happen. Like, you watch people do burpees over a worm for 24 minutes.
Right. You have to think about what as a training workout, as a coach, this to me would be like, okay, what you guys are going to get out of this right now is everyone's going to get some swimming in, because you definitely have to have that, you know, being a team. And if you want to go to the games, all that, I want to know that you guys can stay synchronized. I want to know that you guys can, over the course of a lot of volume, still be able to hang in with your the techniques for your clean and jerk, so you guys stay even on that, because we know how important it is to keep the bag, you know, uniform all the way up from the ground and up overhead, all those. So those would be the things that as a coach you're looking at over this workout. For a race, those things don't matter, because it starts to really slow down. And it's really, I mean, those burpees, it was just, it's hard to watch really great athletes do slow burpees. Like, I don't want to see that. I don't want to see athletes that are, okay, I'm just doing burpees while the guy's swimming. He's not very good, so we're just cruising.
Yeah,
like,
200 meters.
It's not a race anymore.
For a tired CrossFit athlete is going to be 3 to 4 minutes.
Right.
So, okay, we'll get our burpees in. Depending on the distance that they had, like I said, their ishes, I think it was around 200, fairly close. So if you're a decent swimmer, it's 3 minutes or less. So now you're pushing the pace a little bit, but
barely.
Barely.
You know, so it takes the race element out of it, and it would have been. I mean, you could have done this exact same thing if you want, so that everyone can swim. You could have had it, you know, where you bring the numbers down of the clean and jerk and the burpees so that they matter a little bit more.
Right.
I mean, you could have made it to where, I mean, you would have been actually really cool. Is instead of having everybody have to swim, it could be anyone can swim. So you have 3 rounds of, you have your clean and jerks, you have your swim, you have your burpees. I mean, you're playing to the team. It doesn't have to have a weak link person that your swimmer is going to be out there flopping around in the water, but you get to race them so you can put your people where they need to be. It's closer to what that handstand event is. But at least then you have it's a little bit more exciting. You know, there's movement that's happening, and it really counts. Where the burpees, the speed of the burpees now counts. The speed of the clean and jerks count. It didn't matter.
Yeah.
On this one,
I do like if you can nail these two are working, this one's doing something, that timing and that tempo. Like, I do like that. I like this format.
Right.
As well. I don't like the last 5 clean and jerks. Why?
Right.
60 was nice. It's double grace. I'll accept that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. It's a great workout. It's a great training workout, yes.
Or do like 20, 15, 10, 5, and then it's 50. And then you're doing 50 of the burpees, and then those numbers work. If you wanted the 5 at the end, 65 is a number that bothers me.
Like 100. I mean,
like, we did enough. We don't need the 5 at the end just to like kick you in the face.
No.
But then it has like, you're waiting for everybody. I kind of see it like you're doing the burpees, they're finishing the swim. How do we cap off that? Well, maybe when the swimmer gets to the worm and people are waiting for him, or they're waiting for like, whatever. But like, numbers matter
to OCD people. They do. No, they totally matter. Like, it's pretty. You want to make it look good.
Yeah, it's a great team test to work on. Working with the worm at a very high volume together, under fatigue, putting in swimming, synchro burpees over the worm, all things people should be good at if they want to be in the elite team competition scene. Just did not translate off the barge at all.
No, it just didn't look like a race. It didn't look.
It wasn't. Yeah, it was.
You know,
because you couldn't see the race. Like, people are in the water, you don't even know who they are or where they are. Like, that's the other thing too. Is like, now they can't move the worm too much on the barge. There's not a lot of places to go. But yeah, if I were coaching a team to the CrossFit Games, I'm like, we're doing this event,
dude. Of course,
in practice,
right? Training.
Right. So
training.
Yeah. So that was that. There was 3 events. Three events on day 1? Is that right? And then we had that one. Another thing I liked about that event was you had a monostructural with the swimming, you had the gymnastics with the burpees, and then the weightlifting with the worm. Yeah. Like, I liked that. So
the movements are great.
Numbers, the movements are great. The combo of stuff is great. But like I said, it's like you can create the greatest of all these things, and if everybody's watching it and they'd rather just like look at the wall for the next 25 minutes, that's part of it. That's part of an event. It is a show. It is entertainment. That's sports. But yeah. All right. So the third event, the last event of the night for the teams of 3, uno, dos, tres, or uno, dos, tres, if you're Sean Woodland.
Sean.
I love you, buddy.
Tres.
To you fear every Spanish word that came onto the screen was like the highlight of my entire weekend. It was so funny because you could say, it's almost like you could see that word coming, and you could almost hear the trepidation in the tone of his voice. And for event number 3 here for the individuals, it's cortadito.
Which is crazy because that guy nails people's names.
I know,
like,
but I thought it was funny, and I love you, Sean.
Great.
Yeah, I'm not shitting on you at all, but I am having fun with listening to you fear the Spanish words on the podcast. I was like, Tommy, help him out, bro. Like, I'm not going to stereotype you, but shit, like, you're the only guy out there that can hook a brother up.
That's right.
All right, uno, dos, tres. We'll start with the things we liked. Like number one, I like the gymnastics test, the monostructural test, and the weightlifting test. Three different ways.
Yep.
I like that. Nobody said on the broadcast, which you don't have to say it, but to not draw attention to that cool nuance. Okay, what are you doing?
Right.
What are you looking at?
That was a miss.
That was a miss. I liked the title of the event to match. Hold on. Match the way it's actually built. So, for example, on the gymnastics part, only
the
one person is working.
2 work, 3 work, yeah.
Right? On the monostructural, 2 are working, and on the weightlifting, 3 are working. I respect that. Like, these are all the things that I just like, those little details I really do enjoy. Right? And I like that. That said, I think this is way too much synchro work on the back half of this after the synchro work we just did. And I think this puts an enormous stress on the judging. So that's another part of the programming. It's like, hey, look at this is amazing event we just programmed. Like, let's just take all the external factors out of it. It's like we've got kettlebell swings and pistols and bar or chin over bar pull-ups, and people are just going to fly. It's pistol Helen. And we're just going nuts. And I'm like, cool. That actually sounds like a really cool workout. You're going to tell me it's like 50 alternating pistols, 40, that might be a lot, but like what, say 30, okay, we'll say 50 pistols, 35 kettlebell swings, and 20 chin over bar pull-ups for 3 rounds. Like, fuck, that's a great workout. I got gymnastics and I've got some weightlifting, and we're just going for it. Nightmare to judge.
Right.
Nightmare.
You need a judge on every single person.
And you pick 3 movements that are just like some of the hardest ones to actually like nail down an appropriate range of motion just by sight, let alone description.
Right.
And so when you look at not the first part, gymnastics, that was really easy. You do work while one person holds and one person's rest. Synchro double unders and like how people just needed to like land at the same time, I think was part of that. I was like, I don't even think we need to be that descriptive. It's just like, are you guys doing it at the same time? Not like, if your hop is a little higher than mine, yet my rope is slower, like it doesn't matter.
Did you see? I was watching that, and I'm watching the people on the screen, and the first thing that came into my head was like, "There's no way you could count this, because who are you counting? Who's syncing to who?" And that's the problem with that. Like if you're doing synchro double unders, the fastest movement we have, you're trying to sync that up. Who are you basing it off of? Because they aren't all coming down at the exact same time. Like the only way you'd be able to do that is if there was a touchpad on the floor and everyone was actually hitting the ground at the same time. Because there is no way that it's impossible for the judge. Not hard for the judge. It's impossible. The only way they could do it is they got to count one person, and if they both are kind of going and someone messes up, that's the only time you stop.
Right. Yeah.
That's it. That's all you got.
But in a training atmosphere, in your gym, okay, whatever, guys, just stay together.
Yeah.
Work on it. And then the barbell, that one, like watching 3 people at the same time with 3 different lifts, like you have to have a judge who knows what to look at for the deadlifts as a group, as hang power cleans as a group, and front squats as a group. The little wrinkle in here that I liked is that there were 3 barbells at 3 different weights.
Yeah.
Cool. I was like, I like that a lot. I like that a lot because now you throw in some team strategy. Hey guys, this heavy bar is like killing me. Can we rotate every 5? Or can you just keep me off this bar?
Right. I
like that a lot.
I love the back half of this. I love the 3 movements. I love the numbers. I love the different weights. I loved watching Roman's team alternating like every 5 reps. And then you'd see him just kind of cycle through all the way through so no one's getting slammed. I love that piece, but then again, for a competition and a race, when reps count and reps matter,
Mhm.
and appropriate reps and, reps that are good reps matter, when you have elite level athletes that are going to be on the line, riding the line, the shortest distance between 2 points and all that kind of stuff. So
Right.
they're not gonna do a bunch of extra like, "Was that good? Was that good? Was that a good rep? Did that count?"
Yeah.
They're just gonna go. There's no way the judges are gonna be able to do appropriate judging for those reps, and
Mhm.
that sucks.
And even if so, like that's a massive lift for a volunteer judge.
Yeah,
Massive lift.
yes. Not one elite level athlete, 3 big names that I gotta
Yeah.
say, "No, none of you guys did."
And in this workout alone, you have 7 movements they need to judge.
Yeah.
Now they made it. I don't know if they had like one just for gymnastics, double unders, and weightlifting. I'm not sure that was the case, but either way, like that's a big lift to ask for a volunteer judge. What is your thoughts on the synchro standard on the barbell? Because I believe it was synchro at the top of the rep or the finish position of the rep versus say for
Like the bottom position, yeah.
bottom position on the front squats. I mean, if you look at deadlifts, hang power cleans, like that is where it like everyone needs to finish together. Right. And I think that's a weird, I like it better than like synchro at the bottom. I think synchro at the bottom is I think that's the worst standard you could have for synchro work, especially squats, because if I'm 6'2" and I'm working out with anyone that's 5'4", they're going to get to the bottom before me. Like, how is that a fair thing to force us into? We're actually getting docked because we are two different types of human beings, but we
Right.
have the same fitness level.
Right, it's kinda like the bar muscle up. You have to count it where you're both on top.
Yes, and I
You ha
like
you have to. Yeah.
and so I like the standard. I think they could have done a better job explaining what the standard is, maybe on the not on the broadcast or the judging. Shoot, even the athletes, but even the athletes kind of figured it out. And shout out to that judge that Hiller pointed out, just like crushing it on keeping
Yeah.
the standard. But for me, if I'm programming synchro work, I would say at the finish position, everybody needs to get set, right? But also everyone should start relatively around the same time. Okay.
See, I
So
think you'd
every
you'd have
rep
you'd have to cut that out though, because if you s anything that if you make it where I like what you said, everyone has to finish at the finish top, that's the
finish
rep.
position.
Everyone has to start at about the same time or relatively at the same time. The second, it's not like you either all start together
Mhm.
or it doesn't matter. Like you have to make it one or the other. If you have
Yeah.
any sort of relativity, then all of a sudden it becomes like a real subjective
Yeah,
setup,
you're right. I like that little extra. And I only said relative because say like I say down and everybody squats and I'm just like a half second behind because I was saying the word down or I heard it because I'm the first person and I can't even see my fingers, but like that.
Right.
I think that's good. But it's like the one person squats and this person's just standing there. Like,
Yeah.
no.
Well,
You know what I mean?
I think no, I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying. I think that I would take that out and just say the finished position
Finish
because
position.
if
So
somebody, let's
basically
say,
what they
let's
did.
say somebody fails, let's say someone fails one of the movements.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone did their part. They kind of fight to get through it. They finally get up. Okay, now we're all up at the top. We've all synchro in the fact is in the fact of we all did that one rep.
Yeah. Okay.
Not that we moved as an entire group down. There will be movements like the worm where that is the thing where the whole group has to come down together because if you don't, you're going to pay for it. The
Right, but,
worm
like,
will
you
make
don't
it
need
pay.
to enforce that because you'll pay for it on your own
Right.
anyways.
So here, I think it's more important about the work getting done
Mhm.
one rep at a time rather than the entire group moving a deadlift, a hang clean, and a front squat all having to all move at the exact same time like that. So I
Okay.
I would just say the finished position, which I think it's plus it makes it easier for the judge too.
Yeah. It does, and you think about a lot of other movements, handstand push-ups, everybody must be fully locked out at the same time, 1. Ring muscle-ups, bar muscle-ups, toes to bar, chest to bar, that cycling, like, then you're just talking about, like, contact through the middle has to be
Yeah.
all around at the same time. But I do like finish position being where people should sync up, because then it takes out a lot of issues with judging.
Right.
Did they all hit the bottom at the same time? Did they all touch their head to the ground at the same time? Like, who gives a shit?
Right. And there's
Do
no
they
way to
all
really know that for
jump
sure
over the
anyway.
worm and then nobody started before that was done? Okay, everybody's on the other side. One, you can continue your next rep.
Right.
Like, who cares? So I liked that they brought that in there, and I think more competitions should make that normal, to where it's the finish position of every movement being the synchronized part.
I think it's kind of going that way. I mean, even with like the
It has been.
burpees, like burpees over the worm. Remember that there's always the one slow person. So
Right.
everyone jump to the other side flat, and they're waiting for that person to make their way down. Boom. When they hit, then everybody goes.
I like that.
So they're waiting for that person. So
yeah,
I get it.
it is a better job. I think, I don't know why some people were so like thrown off by that. But yeah, overall thoughts on Uno Dos Tres. It was like the swim one.
Yeah, I like the event. It's a great training event. I think that it is tough to make it be a race. I like the uniqueness of it for sure. But when you're making it a race, when reps matter, you have to make sure that you really understand how you're going to count those reps, and be able to say no rep when they're appropriate, because that's gonna be hard. And I think that this race lended itself to more what the judge is able to see rather than just a pure race.
Yeah.
So,
but like I said, swim one, awesome team workout. This one, great team workout. Challenge yourself in 3 different modalities, some synchro work, some barbell work, but watching it, I was like, whew, it's a lot of stuff. That's a lot of stuff. All right, going to day 2, first event of the day. This is where my opinion of the events will drastically change with Dylan's opinion. Like, this is Dylan's favorite event.
right.
And this isn't my least favorite event. This is just where we were on 2 totally different worlds on what we thought was good for the reasons of. Right? So, for example, 3 people working in a relay format, 360-foot bag carry, 120 each, which was down and back twice on Tina Hills. And then every athlete will go 9 sandbag cleans, 9 sandbag squats. Everyone will do that. And then everybody will do 7. Then everybody will do 5. And then they do the carry thing again. Dylan was right when he said, I love this event. It was my favorite event of the weekend. It's the best one that we had programmed, because it was so exciting and so intense. And which is funny, because it was exciting and it was intense, and everything was so close, and like nobody really had the edge on the other. I'll say that for yes, because no one ever got put in a position to gain ground on somebody by the way this was constructed. And 2, for the same reasons I like the programming in the swim and Uno Dos Tres, but didn't like watching it, which was my critique of that. Just because it was fun and exciting and we got good races does not mean it was actually a well-executed program team event, right? Sure, you know what also is exciting? 100 air squats for time. Everybody was so close. It doesn't mean the programming was great.
Right.
All right, so this is almost the counter argument of what we had for the last 2. Just because something was exciting the way it shook out. I got this critique from Josh Bridges about his finale 2 years ago, the heavy grace. And I was like, come on. He's like, bro, it was so close. It was so exciting. I was like, that doesn't mean it was good.
Right.
It was so close and it was so exciting. And the athletes made it exciting, but come on. And I see this as the same thing, because if you watch it with a movement critical eye, this was so sloppy.
It was terrible.
It was so sloppy.
The way so after the sandbag lift at the games, when you brought put it to the shoulder and have to have your arm out. Okay. Yeah. Then you have these very powerful athletes.
Mm-hmm.
Moving sandbags that for them are very light. And you're
Yes.
having them move to that standard, which is bag is on your shoulder and you got to throw your arm out. And they are now trying to do that as fast as they possibly can. It's like having them I mean, you said air squats. I'm gonna go a step further. It's like having them race push-ups.
Ooh, that's good.
Because it's gonna be every line is gonna be shorted. I mean, the standard on how they had to hold the bag. I mean, everybody was bouncing off their elbows. There was no. It was like doing air squat. Then it was like the old school Annie air squats with hands on the knees.
Mm.
You know, where you can kind of bounce yourself out of there. So there were a lot of things that made the race was fast. Yeah, but because it was so fast, it was super sloppy.
Yeah.
And as a man, racing with a 150-pound bag, having to turn and burn like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it was exciting because I was nervous for anyone turning around to take an ankle, to blow a knee, to do something. I mean, I don't know. I agreed. Exciting doesn't mean well programmed. Fast doesn't mean that it's the best race.
Very powerful athletes, and I think that clean's no issue at all. And if they can squat fast, they're already up there right in the front. They could be a sneaky pick here for sure.
It just
I mean, actually, at least Kelsey Keel had some nice positioning when she was doing that. And that's all.
Her team. 100 pounds.
People had to get sloppy, ugly, and
to
go fast.
To go fast, like because it wasn't that hard. Because they had to race, which is not a reason
stronger than the 90s trend.
Why
right
this would be an good necessary.
They are your leaders,
right? Because
right next to them, Team Barine.
It's just too fast. Like,
Federica
okay,
Mahler
arms straight out, not really. Like,
yeah, not really. Ball's not really on your shoulder, or the bag's not really on your shoulder.
Really there. I mean, just
putting good team athletes
okay,
in
I got a good one here,
specifically in Europe, but have been at the games, and it's great to see them here in Miami too.
Yeah.
Now,
alternative
just a second ago,
is,
overall for them,
I think I said this on the Savon podcast because I'm talking about this event after it
on the right
aired,
side of
was I would rather see a relay style
event
event like this with.
I shut it down for you. Sorry.
Oh, was there sound?
Yeah.
Oh shit! Sorry.
That's right.
A relay style event. Now 975 is probably too much because it would move slow. Because that was Dylan's critique when I had said, "Is like I actually would have preferred if they did them all." But like 753, 753. 7-7, move up, 5-5, move up, 3-3, and then maybe go down and back. Well, I didn't like the runs themselves with the bag. I did think that was wildly dangerous.
Dude. I'm surprised that one got. I'm surprised that the PFAA didn't say something about that one.
Yeah.
I mean, shit. Brent's the head guy, and he was the one that's saying that running with a dumbbell is not, a cool idea. That's a 50-pound dumbbell. Here's a 150-pound bag.
Let me do a shuttle run on rubber with 100 pounds above my center of mass and change directions as fast as I can. I was like, that is like the best recipe you could. And now, thank God nobody got hurt. But like,
totally.
That's an ACL.
I do. My knees were shaking. Hey, let me ask you. Let me ask you this. One of the things that we've talked about, different movement standards, when it comes to like hard to judge or get sloppy because of the weight, lightweight thrusters, lightweight dumbbell thrusters, ring dips, things like that. What about increasing the weight to where it's actually more of a lifting movement rather than just flipping this thing from the ground straight up? What if we went to more of a like the 200-pound and the 150-pound?
Sure.
I mean, it would slow it down. It would make those. It would make those. You'd have to get that bag to your shoulder and really support it to throw that arm out, rather than just kind of whop, where it's barely even up there.
This is supposed to offset a bit the strength test that they didn't have.
Yeah.
Right. This is a pure speed power output event, which is fine.
Totally.
And you need to have a element of strength to be able to showcase your speed and power. Right? You can't have those without strength. But yeah, it's just a race to who could do this the fastest, not who the fittest.
And it's crazy. With the individual final, when was in the final, the dumbbell.
Look at that. Look at
That
the
wasn't
right.
the final.
Look at it. Look at this little chicken wing. Look at how dumb that.
Well, well, because why you don't need to go all the way. I mean, that's the whole thing. There's no purpose because it's not heavy enough to make it a purpose.
Yeah.
With the individuals, when they had the lighter dumbbell when it was raining, it was at the end of the race. They all had to put it down, so it slowed them down. This is a lighter bag, and because there's now nothing slowing them down. That putting the arm out to the side isn't doing it. Gosh, it's just sloppy.
Yeah. Like all the bags should have been on the shoulders.
Totally. It should totally be on the shoulder for the squat. 100%.
Like I get it. We got great races, but I mean, it's yeah. So
I think an easy fix would have been a heavier bag.
I think a heavier bag, if you want to relay it, fine.
Bag on the shoulder for the standard for the squats for sure.
Yeah. So say you want to keep it 975, make it 200 and 150. That should slow them down. Or keep the bag lighter, drop the rep scheme 753 and have them do one at a time. Right? But like the whole thing, like the carry, I'd actually take out the carries. I don't like the carries.
Yeah. If it's they already had other ones where there's bikes and stuff like that. I mean, this would have been a fun one to have. Maybe throw like an assault bike in there.
Well, they had the bike. Did they have rowers? Didn't use rowers.
No.
All right.
Could have done something like that.
So, okay, the rep scheme is 975. Then 17.
Just double the calories.
21. That's 21. 21 buy-in and cash out.
Yeah.
And then you can keep the relay. 21, 21, 21. Go.
Yep.
Into 999777555. But make it 200 and 150, and then another cash out on the rower. Now we're talking.
I think that'd be fun. That would, it would. I don't like finishing a race on a rower because you can't tell where the finish is.
Oh, that's true. Then fine, just 997. It's done when it's done.
Finish. Yeah, totally. Yeah.
It's done when it's done, and all team members have to, I don't know, say run to the front to the bag. Maybe it's just done.
That's fine.
Because that buy-in would be terrible.
And it would
accomplish what it was meant to be for the carry, because the carry was whatever. It's dumb.
Right.
It didn't even. So, yeah, lots of other ways we could have done it and still been exciting. But it was too light and too little of reps in the way it was set up with 975 with each person. That it was a very sloppy mess.
It was so sloppy.
Could have been great. And yeah, if you're there for excitement and you don't care about programming and athletes, then fine. You're right. It was the most exciting event of the weekend. You are correct.
It's kind of like at the games for the Masters when Sam Briggs was doing Helen with beautiful kettlebell. Not that anyone can see it. If you're there, beautiful kettlebell swings. But the athletes that were winning had the sloppy kettlebell swings.
Right.
And so that's what it does. Yeah. Because it's light, because of what the movement is, you're encouraging shitty movement. You're not encouraging proper movement or needing to have proper movement. It's just like flailing in the wind to make it happen.
Right.
So
almost, but not. Although the name was appropriate, Sandbag said that's what they had to do.
They did that. They definitely did that.
Okay. Final event of what it ended up being. It started to rain. Oh, no, that's not right.
Oh, we got one.
Yeah, I got one more. Sorry, waterfall at the base. Skipped one. Forgot they had 6 events. Skipped one. There we go. Waterfall at the bay. We go back to the barge on Bayside. What it ended up being was each athlete in a waterfall style completes 3 rounds of a 24 and 18 cal echo bike, followed by 20 front rack kettlebell back step lunges, and 12 kettlebell shoulder to overhead at 53 and 35. The original event was 24 cal echo bike, 8 kettlebell box step overs at 53 and 35, and then 12 dual kettlebell hang snatches. Bummer.
Totally.
Right?
Oh my
Bummer.
gosh.
Bummer that in here they had to change it because of the weather. The boxes were slick. We said this yesterday. They were slip and slides. The boxes were, the crash pads were, which is where everybody crashed. So that was, I thought, ironic.
Appropriate.
What I also heard is like the mats themselves by Surface Co. somehow get tackier when they're wet for some reason. But this was the change. Honestly,
Totally
the
different
things that
workout.
the what?
Totally different workout.
It's a totally different workout. It's the same stimulus as far as like it's just go, right? We're just going, we're going. They actually nailed the timing of this one because as long as it took for the bike was about as long as it took for the kettlebells. It was very close whether they were gaming it together. But you look, once you got to the kettlebells, people were just like pushing those as fast as they could. 24 back step lunges, 12 shoulder overhead. And then the person on the bike was like getting off as they were getting done. Like they nailed the timing. So like that worked out well. There's a big difference between, not a big difference, but there is a difference between back step lunges and steps over the box, especially 24 versus 8, which is what it was originally again, but like that's what they had to do. And then the shoulder overhead. Okay, I'm glad we're going overhead, but I mean, we did fast sandbag sprint squats in the morning. We're doing more kettlebell back step lunges after the 120 squats, or not 120 squats, but the squats they did the night before. And then they have lunge thrusters coming up later. Like that's a lot of just like leg.
It's all leg. Leg.
Yeah. And to come off the bike and do the back step lunges was just brutal. That's neither here nor there. That's just the difference between the two. The 8 step ups over the box, like that wasn't going to break people off lower body. And then the 12 hang snatches are just a massively different beast than 12 kettlebell push presses or shoulder to overhead. But they got the timing right. And it was, you had to get everything solid. You had to send out someone first and finish with someone who was also fast over the time period. I think this is just a good, event. This is a good event to have there in the mix. Some waterfall style. That's a new format that they didn't have in here. I look at it like, I was about to say, you buy a CD. You buy someone's album. They wrote 12 songs. They probably got 4 to 6 filler songs in there to get, the 12 that they have recorded. They're not all hits. They're good songs. You'll listen to them. That's how I see this event. I don't hate it. I don't love it. It's a test in there. Okay.
As it's written right here, standing by itself, it is I think a classic team style event as far as having that waterfall. You get to do you put your fastest person out there in the front so they can get out of the way and, get your other people in and hope that your slowest person is going to be able to, get in there as quick as they can with some leeway. I get it. It is a good event for that.
Mm-hmm.
Compared to some of the other events that we've had, it's one of the first it's a true competition team event.
Okay.
So
yep.
I'll give them that much. The timing, cool. That's right. I mean, they were good on that. They made the switches that they had to make. But as far as what the event is, it's one of the first actual competition events for the team that we've had so far, and that's number 5. I mean, I like the first one. The second one. We're at 2 competition events right now. The race with the completed time, and then this one, where it's the actual appropriate setup, a good race.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's nothing flashy. I do think that at this point, this is the 3rd leg blasting event that we've had in a row, knowing that we have another one coming up right after that. So whatever legs you had, you don't have them anymore. You've done clean and jerks, and you've done sandbag squats, and now we're doing, lunges, and then we're going to have thrusters after this.
Yeah.
So,
it's also the 3rd event where people are resting.
Yeah.
Like
in the event. Yeah.
Right. Like we had that in Uno, Dos, Tres. We had that in the sandbag, and now we have it here.
Yep.
So, but in a different format, like one was an interval, one was like, a relay. This is a waterfall. That's different. Right. And then the other one was just mandated rest.
Right.
And the way it was for. So it's formatted 3 different ways, which is good. It's not the same thing per se. But you're right. Like this is all right. This is just a good quality team event. Got one.
Yeah, you're in the record analogy was pretty good. I think it's not the hit.
It's not the hit.
It's not the B-side.
You don't skip it.
No,
right?
It's in there. It's one of the songs.
It's like, oh yeah, I like this one.
Isn't the hit after this one? Yeah, I'll listen through this one.
It's almost like a palate cleanser.
Okay.
Like, hey, you've been banger. It's like I need I've been banging my head, fucking rock and roll for 3 songs in a row. I need something. I need a little reset, but I want to listen to it too.
A simple rock ballad. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. This is a good rock ballad.
It's a good rock ballad.
So, but yeah, all right. I'll not say like I accept as if like it matters to me. But it did change. But again, can't hold that against them for what they did. Box step overs would have been a bad. That would have been a bad call.
Dude, yeah.
Been a bad call. All right, the final event called Worm Fran. The original was my favorite team workout of the weekend, which was, where are you? 21 worm thrusters, and then each athlete will perform 8 pull-ups, 7 chest to bar pull-ups, 6 bar muscle ups, which is also 21, while the other 2 hold the worm off the ground. And then they just rotate every athlete out, and they come back to the worm together. 15 thrusters, 6, 5, 4, 9 thrusters, 4, 3, 2. And then the end one was supposed to be 6 thrusters, 3, 2, 1. That bothers me. Like 21, 15, 9, 6.
Didn't need it.
Didn't need it. You didn't need it. Yeah, you didn't need it. You didn't need it. Right. But that was the original. Outside of the 6 at the end, it's like the last 5 clean and jerks on the swim event is like, don't, just stop. You had it so great, right? There's a splash of a team finale that had rope climbs and worm holds at the CrossFit Games one year, and then you have a splash of the 21-15-9 complex in here as well. Beautiful. And if the weather held up, this finale would have been epic.
Right.
What a great way to end. A lot of teamwork, a lot of strategy. You could send out whoever you wanted first. It didn't matter. So say it's like, dude, I'm dying. Like, I need to go last. I need a break. What it ended up turning into was 27 worm thrusters, 45 strict pull-ups for the men, 36 for the women, 21 thrusters, 15 thrusters, 9 thrusters. So they went 27, 21, 15, 9 of worm thrusters. And then for the women, it was 36, 27, 18, 9 strict pull-ups. No designated rep scheme, no designated athlete. Didn't matter. The other 2 just had to hold. For the men, it went 45, 36, 27, 18. And it was really unfortunate, and even Dylan said this, is like this was just bore fest of like everybody was over it. Even I felt like it looked like even the athletes were just bored.
Yeah.
Just like watching people hold a worm, watching people
Struggle on
suck at
strict
pull-ups,
pull-ups. Yeah.
and have no idea really where anybody was. And for it to be the final event, like what would have been the best one, and we'll give Dylan 100% credit, is like what you guys had was so good. It was so good, and the weather just screwed you guys. Because really, like, there's nothing else you could do in the rain if you wanted a pulling gymnastics movement. Right? It's just that's unfortunately the weather screwed them. It was raining on and off that entire final, and I think everybody was just done. We were done watching. The athletes looked done while they were
totally
going for it, and it was just an unfortunate final.
Yeah, it was hard. It is hard. Again, this was another one of those races where it just didn't really look like people were racing. I mean, strict pull-ups, like once people get tired, they're just you seeing these elite level athletes just kind of hanging out. And you don't want to see that you don't want to see that in a race. You don't want to see that on elite level athletes, and you definitely don't want to see that in the final. You know, it is what it is because of what it was.
Right.
I think the original version was so pretty, and I know that they added that 6 because they wanted to finish with the 3-2-1, but it wasn't necessary.
Yeah.
21-15-9 would have been like that in itself, especially if you're gonna tag it Fran, leave it Fran.
Right.
21-15-9. Like, you don't need the 6. It doesn't need it.
They didn't need it in the 21-15-9 complex at the CrossFit Games, which is one of the most coolest programmed events they've ever had.
Right. One of the most unique setups that they've had on that. You know, I mean, honestly, in all reality, if they use this one in SoCal, that would be another great one too.
Oh yeah, bring that one back.
You know, I mean, because it wasn't even remotely, and it's not like you would be copying, because the strict pull-ups and the way it was done, it completely changed what this race would be.
Yeah.
So if they were to bring that into SoCal, it would be, I honestly think it would be a highlight. It would be such a fun race.
You know, it'd be cool in SoCal if they named all our events by like famous beach towns.
Oh, there's so many to choose from, dude.
I know, but like, hey, Malibu.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. San Onofre.
Yeah.
This is Hermosa.
Manhattan Beach.
Today we're doing Manhattan Beach. Zuma coming at you next after this.
That'd be sweet. No, just throw that out there. Just throw that out there, guys. You can take it if you want. You can take it. Take it or leave it. I don't know. He probably already thought of that, but if not. The one thing I'll say to the old programming that didn't happen about the 6 is like, I think sometimes we think classic needs to a little panache or a little flair to be exciting, and that is the complete opposite. Like, classic is classic for a reason. Classic is exciting for a reason because we know what it is. We know what it should feel like. We know what to expect. And we don't need a little like twist at the end. We don't need that for everything. We don't need the last 5 clean and jerks when you had 60. You had double grace in there, but then you threw in the 5 because why? You didn't need that in there, right? And so for programmers out there, it's okay to stick to the basics and the classics if you make it quality. Because if it's a quality test, that means it should be a quality viewing experience, and it should be a quality experience for the athletes themselves as well.
Well, and you're talking about, not having to stray from that line. Look at who your fan base is. Like, this isn't the CrossFit Games that we're trying to showcase it to the world. Like, the people that are watching the TYR Wodpalooza are CrossFitters. We all have done Fran.
Yeah.
So when you make it as similar to that, or as classic as possible, we all know what it is. It's already unique because you have them doing it with a worm. Mm-hmm. You're already making it unique with some sort of pulling. So it's a thruster and it's some sort of pulling gymnastic. It's already there. You don't need to pretty it up any more than that.
No.
It's solid. You're right, man. It would have been that would have been such a fun one to see.
Yeah.
The race would have been so good.
Yeah. Damn you, weather. Damn you.
They every year there's a weather issue, whether it's scorching hot, typhoons, raining like crazy. They did a great job of pivoting, but it just sucks when you saw what it could have been. Yeah. And then it's just not. It's a
Clock.
myth.
No. Why would it be confusing?
Oh,
It would be kind of confusing since it's held in a famous beach town. That's the whole point. I held a CrossFit competition in Texas, and I named it after the biggest ranches in Texas. It was fucking cool. We leaned into the state,
right?
right? I had, the 4 6s. And guess what? All the numbers in my event I programmed had 6s in it. And there were 4 of them. King Ranch, right? It's like, I don't want to confuse anybody that, I thought we were in Huntington Beach. This event's called Santa Monica. I'm so confused.
So confusing.
But thanks for being here, Clock. I always love your comments. I really do. All right. That'll do it for us here for the team programming. I think we can agree that the weather dulled the competition of what it could have been as far as what the other programming was. Maybe a little education on team programming. Once again, the difference between a training day and a test is a big part of the events. And yeah.
We didn't do our thumb review for the individuals yesterday. You know that?
That's right.
I didn't know if
you
were
were thumb tape review for Indy and team here.
Yeah, I think we should.
All right. You want to do Indy? Let's do team first. We just talked about teams.
Okay, team first. I like the fact of the way that they pivot, with the way they pivoted. I can't help but give them some props for that. I think that that's important to try to keep things running. It was unfortunate how they had to swap up some of the events, and that's always terrible to see. I like the way that they did the scoring for the first event, for the Metcon event. That was good to see that. It's done appropriately. We had the rock ballad team event.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. Other than that, I think there were a lot of misses. Not that they were terrible events, but they weren't competitive events. And I think that that's a miss. And that wasn't all based on weather. I mean, the weather one is the weather one, and I see how that happens.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to fault them for that, even though at the, your final ends up being the most, I don't know which was honestly more boring. That was because it was the end, or the swimming one, just because you're like, well, here we are.
Still doing burpees.
At burpee 82 and, worm clean and jerk number 47. But I think it's hard to see events when they get thrown in there that are truly workout and training style events, and it just kills the whole competitive scene of that. So I'm gonna have to go for the team. 0.75.
Oh, I give it, what is it, 6 events? I liked one of them. What is that? What's the percentage on that? 0.3? 0.3. 1 for 6. 5K, you did it right, but we already did that. That's a miss. 5 of the other events, just totally freaking huge miss. So you get a 0.3. I'm not giving you a 0, but that was rough. Indy, I'll give a thumb 1. I'll give it a 1 thumb. Like, hey, Indy, you got the lift in there, even though I would have liked 3. You had the tiebreaker and it wasn't a one-off. You pivoted as needed where it was. We still got to keep the final. Like, I thought the final was cool. I wish we got the full quarter detail. I was pleasantly surprised by Deja Vu. I actually didn't hate once I watched it. Just a blast furnace work capacity test, even with the lower box, strict pull-ups, and a lighter dumbbell. That I was pleasantly surprised. But yeah, I'll give it 1 thumb up. There's events I wish we had and didn't get, but hey, So
Yeah.
good.
I'm probably going to be a little bit more, slightly more positive than you on that too. So I'll go 1.25 on that. I
You're
liked,
very positive today.
yeah, I just, I think
Here, my
that,
one thumb is this. Like, how is Wodapalooza programming?
well, yeah, and
Right?
mine is definitely that plus, I mean, there's always going to be some subjectivity to what this whole thing is, and I saw that they got the event got shit on because of the weather. And so there could have been a lot of really cool things, and I just think that was, it was I was bummed that it didn't get to turn out the way that it was. I thought that they did a good job. I like the individuals way better than the teams.
Yeah.
0.75 is actually a little nice on that. I probably would have gone like a 5.5. Not a 5.5, a 0.5.
Okay.
0.5 on the team,
0.5 on the
1.25.
team.
0.5 on the
1.25.
team, and then 1.25 on the individual.
All right. I guess I should say 0.33 for teams, 1 for 6, and a solid 1 for the individual.
Yeah.
All right, that was Wodapalooza. Indian team, thank you again for Dylan for coming on yesterday. If you guys didn't hear our individual breakdown, please go check that out. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, and hit the notifications to know when we go live. Pedro, what's up? Glad you're in the chat. Thank you guys for joining us today. Sign up for the Open. The Open is open for registration. I'm already in. I'm excited to do it. I didn't really get to do it last year, so it's good to be back. Other than that, happy Thursday. Have a great weekend. See you guys next week.